Welcome to Outside View Scandals. Today we're stepping back into the heart of Renaissance Italy to examine one of the most infamous conspiracies of the era, the Pazzi conspiracy. In 1478, the powerful Pazzi family hatched an audacious plot to eliminate their rival Lorenzo de' Medici, the ruler of Florence. They aimed to topple Lorenzo, seize control, and presumably live happily ever after. However, what the Pazzi didn't anticipate was that their conspiracy would become a scandal of epic proportions and lead to their own catastrophic downfall. But let's start with a bit of context. During the Renaissance, Florence was a wealthy and influential city dominated by the Medici family, who were prominent bankers and patrons of the arts. The Medicis were both loved and feared, with Lorenzo de' Medici, also known as Lorenzo the Magnificent, at the head of the family. Lorenzo was popular among the people for his patronage of artists like Michelangelo and Botticelli, but to the Pazzi, the Medicis were nothing less than tyrants hogging all the power. The Pazzi family were also wealthy bankers, but they lacked the influence and control the Medici wielded. In a world where power was as addictive as Florentine wine, the Pazzi were hungry for more and saw Lorenzo as the main obstacle standing in their way. So in 1478 they devised a plan to remove him from the picture. Their strategy? Assassination. And not just any assassination, a public dramatic assassination that would send shockwaves through Florence and ideally leave them in power. Now, plotting to murder one of the most influential men in Florence is no small feat, so the Pazzi reached out for allies. And who better to join them than the Pope himself? Pope Sixtus IV had his own reasons for disliking the Medicis, who often opposed his political maneuvers in Florence. He even appointed his nephew, Girolamo Riario, to oversee the plot. With the Pope's blessing, what could possibly go wrong, right? The conspiracy was set in motion with meticulous planning. The chosen day for the assassination was April 26th in 1478, Easter Sunday, at the Cathedral of Santa Maria del Fiore in Florence. The setting was perfect, a crowded church where Lorenzo and his brother Giuliano would be surrounded by unarmed civilians, providing the conspirators with the element of surprise. It sounds foolproof. However, the plan had one slight complication. Giuliano, Lorenzo's brother, wasn't the most cooperative victim. He reportedly avoided public appearances and was reluctant to attend the mass. After some persuasion, Giuliano finally agreed to come. The conspirators, desperate to ensure that he would show up, even resorted to a bit of friendly coaxing. Once Giuliano was at the church, the plot unfolded with remarkable speed and some blunders. As the mass proceeded, the assassins made their move. Francesco de' Pazzi, a key member of the family, attacked Giuliano, managing to stab him multiple times. Giuliano, caught off guard, collapsed and died almost immediately. Meanwhile, another assassin, Bernardo Bandini, went after Lorenzo. However, this part of the plan did not go as smoothly. Lorenzo, sensing danger, managed to defend himself and escape, sustaining only a minor wound. As Lorenzo fled, the assassins' grand plan began to unravel before their eyes. The aftermath of the failed assassination was immediate and brutal. Florence was outraged by the attack on their beloved Lorenzo. In a rapid series of events, the citizens of Florence turned on the Pazzi and their allies with a vengeance. The Pazzi family members and their supporters were hunted down across the city. Some were dragged from their homes, others pulled from hiding spots, and almost all met a violent end. The Florentines, apparently keen to make a statement, executed Francesco de' Pazzi by hanging him from a window of the Palazzo della Signora, the very heart of Florentine power. It's as if the city wanted the world to know exactly what happens to those who dare plot against the Medicis. Lorenzo, ever the strategist, knew that revenge was best served with a dash of spectacle. He used the failed conspiracy to cement his own power, portraying the Medici as victims of a vile betrayal and rallying public support around his family. The remnants of the Pazzi family were either executed, exiled, or stripped of their properties. Their name was literally erased from Florence. Laws were passed forbidding anyone from even mentioning the name Pazzi in Florence. If ever there was a way to delete a family from history, the Florentines certainly knew how to do it. And meanwhile, the Pope was less than thrilled with how things had turned out. Sixtus IV, seeing his alliance with the Pazzi end in such a disaster, decided that excommunication was in order. In a fit of rage, he excommunicated Lorenzo and placed Florence under interdict, forbidden church services in the city. But Lorenzo, as always, was one step ahead. He took a diplomatic tour through Italy, rallying allies and making peace with powerful figures, ensuring that even the Pope's wrath couldn't destabilize his rule in Florence. In the end, the Pazzi conspiracy stands as a cautionary tale. It shows how ambition combined with a touch of arrogance and a lack of foresight can lead to utter ruin. The Pazzi thought they could simply remove Lorenzo and take his place, but they underestimated both Lorenzo's influence and the loyalty of the people of Florence, which is a wonderful city still today, by the way. Ironically, their plot only served to strengthen the very family they sought to destroy. Lorenzo's legend grew, and the Medici grip on Florence became even firmer. As for the Pazzi, they went down in history not as conquerors of Florence, but as the architects of their own destruction. So thank you for joining us on Outside View Scandals, where we uncover the dramatic events and hidden truths that have shaped history. And if you want to see another video, the next one is right here in the end screen.